this was the norm. Like, yes, we were kids, but we weren't kids talking like, bro, they're talking about comparing murders to fucking carjacking. And then these will be the same people who their parents will get on TV and be like, oh, my kid wasn't like this, that, and the third. And then when you hear videos like that and you'll see people say, like people were saying, like, dog, adults will eventually have no remorse for taking your kid's life, because it's almost like it's gonna be damn near it's like them versus us. And that shit should never come to that point. But then it's just like, when do you pull the plug on that? It's like, when do you sit here and say, oh, we got to put a foot down? And it's almost like you don't want to, of course, I'm sure you don't want to seem hypocritical, because you got to grow up on rap music. You got to fall in love with whoever your favorite rapper was when you were a kid. But it's just like, when do you sit here and say, hey, let me put my adult pants on and actually become a parent, and sit here and say, you have to almost like erase some of that shit. Like, how do you erase just that whole image and that whole behavior? Like that, it just, to me, some stuff just don't make sense. Like when you hear that, I was just like, damn, it's crazy. Like, this is how far it has went. Like, even listening to the little lingo he's saying, like, oh, I'm gonna spend the blend and bend or whatever, however they like, that talking is just like, oh my God, it's so disturbing. And it's just like, and you have to put it, you got to put the responsibility on parents. Like, when are you going to become a parent? When do you put your foot down? Because this video, it looked like it was nighttime, and these is, like I said, like to me, like I'm even looking at like one of them, like height wise, the little boy look like he like 8 or 9. Let's maybe say 11. But just think about how dramatic, and to me as an adult, how scary that is, because 9 times out of 10, you'll put adults in situations where they not going to treat kids like kids no more. Because don't get it twisted, it don't matter how vicious or violent a kid is, he's still a kid. So if you bump into a vicious, aggressive adult, that kid don't stand a chance. The difference between a kid and an adult is the adult may think out some of their behaviors longer, because they know realistically how it's going to play out, how bad it can play out. A kid don't understand none of that until it's just too late. But if you push adults to the point where they looking at kids like they are their biggest enemies, bro, it's gonna get difficult for your kids sometimes, because people gonna start almost stereotyping your kids so bad where you gonna be like, shit gonna get crazy. Like, you ain't gonna want your kid to have hair, you ain't gonna want your kid to fit none of these stereotypes, because you don't want people to almost look at your kid as an enemy. And it's gonna be in from the community. It's a difference between, like, of course, like when Bone Thugs was whatever and Snoop was whatever. It was like, yeah, you may sit the stereotypical for like white people or police officers, but the scary part is when your kid becomes a stereotype and they fit the image with other black people, and where we don't even know how to draw the line no more. Where we looking at it like, yeah, I don't trust these little kids. I don't even want to be nowhere near them. I don't want to be no parts of them. And when you might just even come at them very aggressive, and they may not even be like that, but they just fit that stereotype. Like, again, in that, and now y'all think about, I've been preaching that whole the shiesty mask for like a year and some change now. But when it just, I don't know, you get tricky. And that space is just like, when do you sit here and say enough is enough? Again, and I get it. I'm not a parent, so I know that y'all still be wanting to have your free time, and you still want to be able to turn up, and you still want to live. But then it's just like, to what extent? And of course, if this not your kid, this conversation not for you. But I'm sure you probably know somebody with a kid like this who probably is willing to turn up with you anytime you reach out. Like, oh, you trying to go out this weekend? And they always, oh yeah, girl, come on, let's go. Sometimes to me, as even as a friend, that don't never draw like a red flag to y'all. Like, damn, this person always ready to turn up, always got free time. But then